So TikTok has completely transformed how people shop online. And it's done it through something called social commerce.
Social media shopping is booming this Black Friday, with millions on social media buying new products and brands.
And whether it's beauty products or children's toys, business is booming on the TikTok shop.
So instead of browsing on your phone and seeing an ad and you click on the ad and then you go to a website and then you fill in a load of details, you do a checkout, all that sort of stuff. When you're sat in your pants on your sofa watching funny cat videos, you might come across another video where somebody's talking about a product. Maybe something like these trendy blue light glasses. And if you like the look of that product, you can literally click a button and buy these glasses without ever leaving the TikTok app. So all this is happening inside a platform called TikTok Shop. And I think this is the biggest thing to happen in e-commerce since Facebook ads was released in 2007. It's completely changed the way that people shop online. And in my opinion, it's made it easier and more beginner friendly to start a brand from scratch than ever before. So in this video, I'm going to guide you through step by step everything that you need to know about getting started and selling on TikTok Shop. I'm going to show you exactly which products are crushing on TikTok and why. Then I'm going to show you how to find those products for yourself, how to do the product research, how to source those products. Then I'm going to show you how to brand those products using AI. Then I'm going to dive into some of the technical stuff around fulfillment. Then I'm going to show you how to launch your products on TikTok. So we're going to do this in two very distinct ways. Then I'm going to talk you through the Halo Flywheel system. Now, this is a system for launching and scaling brands that leverages TikTok Shop and the biggest, most trusted marketplace in the world. Then finally, I'm going to show you how to scale your TikTok Shop and your TikTok products using paid advertising on TikTok itself. And if you're wondering who I am and you're wondering why you should trust me, I've got a pet supplement brand that at the minute is doing just short of $1 million a month in sales. I'm the co-founder of a TikTok agency, one of the biggest in the UK. And we've worked with some of the biggest brands and we've done 7 figures in GMV. So I know what I'm talking about. This is from hands-on experience. I'm not just an online guru selling courses, I promise. So let's talk about products. Which products are most suited to TikTok and how do you find them? So TikTok is a little bit different than other platforms, right? What works on Amazon or what works on Shopify doesn't necessarily work on TikTok. And there's a few key things that you need to understand that's going to help you when you're doing your product research and you're looking to launch products on the platform. So the first thing that's really important when it comes to selling products on TikTok is that your products are visual. So TikTok is an incredibly visual platform. You've got to get people's attention in literally 1 or 2 seconds. And if you can do that by showing something in a very visual way, then you've got way more chance of getting their attention and stopping them from scrolling past whatever your video is. So this is why you see a lot of successful skincare products, stuff that helps you out with acne, for example, because acne is something that's very visual. As soon as you scroll and you see, really bad skin, that's something that if you've got bad skin, that's going to instantly stand out to you and it's going to stop you from scrolling. And then to take it one step further, if you've got a product that helps with acne and it can show a before and after, that's a very visual product that you can show super easily in a 1-minute video. So when you're doing your product research, have a think about the products that you're looking at. Is this a product that I can very easily show the effectiveness in a video in a very visual way? Think about like drones, right? These little mini drones that you can fly around your living room that I want to buy my nephews for Christmas so that I can use them. These are the types of products that stand out in a video and are likely to get attention. And when you get attention, that's how you go viral. So the first thing you need to consider is my product something that I can easily show in a very visual way? The second thing is that most products that do well on TikTok are in this impulse buy range. Now this is changing a little bit, right? You do see, especially in the US, products that are of a higher ticket price, right? You've got some big brands like Ninja, they're bringing in some of their higher ticket products and they're doing really well. But especially in the UK, it's still kind of in that impulse buy range where you're looking at products between like £12, possibly up to £25. You want products that people don't have to think too much about buying. So if I see these and these are $12 or £12, I'm pretty likely, if I like the look of them and I've thought about buying these maybe before, to just in a couple of clicks buy them. But if these are $150 or $200, I might have to think a bit more about purchasing them. So just think about your pricing, right? Is it something that's in the impulse buy range? Because that's probably going to make it a bit easier for you to succeed selling on TikTok. So the next and final point is, do your products solve a big, widespread problem. Now, this is really the key to any brand, right? The bigger the problem that your product solves, and the bigger the number of people, or the more people that you can sell your product to, generally the better. So TAM, or total addressable market, is super important when it comes to basically every business, but especially e-commerce businesses. If you've got a very super niche product that only a handful of people are really going to be interested in, it's not really going to be suited to TikTok. So when you're looking at your products and you're doing your product research, have a think, does this product solve a massive problem that's a real pain point for a lot of people? That's why you see a lot of products related to weight loss or stress or anxiety or sleep, because there's so many people that suffer from those types of problems, right? And if you can help people with those problems with the products that you're selling, you're going to have mass wide appeal to a huge group of people, and that's going to help your videos get pushed and help you go viral. So now that you understand the key fundamentals that drive whether or not a product is likely to be successful, you need to understand how to find these products. And there's a few ways that I like to do this, right? The first one is just by creating social media accounts. Creating a TikTok, an Instagram, a Snapchat, a Pinterest. Create a new account on all of these platforms and start searching for products. So maybe you want to pick up some blue light glasses, and that's what you start searching for on TikTok and Instagram. If you've got a brand new account, what's going to happen then is you're going to start seeing videos for products. And when you see those videos, and if you see some ads pop up especially, click on those ads. Click on the ads, interact with the videos, and that means you're going to get served constant ads and constant videos related to brands and products. Because all you're really doing, especially as a beginner, is you're looking to find things that you can copy and put a bit of a twist on. My favorite example of a brand doing this and doing it really well is a brand in the UK called Space Goods. So Space Goods is a mushroom coffee blend, and it's doing over £1 million a month, absolutely crushing it. I think it's about 4 or 5 years old. But the founder of this brand didn't come up with the idea. It wasn't a unique product when he launched it in the UK. So mushroom coffee and that kind of like psychedelic, adaptogen sort of product niche, that's been around for probably 10 or 12 years in the US. There's huge brands in the US like Rise Coffee that are absolutely massive. So what the founder of Space Goods did is he saw that niche taking off in the US, and then he basically copied it and brought it to the UK. So this is one of the things that I think beginners misunderstand. You're not really looking to reinvent the wheel. Find stuff that's already working and then copy it with a twist. That's the easiest way to find products that are suitable for TikTok and Amazon and even Shopify. Now, the second way of finding products and doing your product research is using tools that are specifically for product research. So the top one at the minute for TikTok is probably a tool called Kalo Data. So Kalo Data essentially gives you all of the sales information and all of the sales data for basically any product on TikTok. So you can see all of the top selling products in any niche on TikTok, right? So if you want to look at the skincare niche, you can go into Kalo Data and you can look at skincare products. You see all of the top selling products and the amount of revenue that they're doing. And on top of this, what's amazing about Kalo Data is it gives you all of the viral videos for whatever that product or that niche is. So if you want to sell blue light glasses, you can type in blue light glasses and then you can find that product and you will see all of the best performing videos for that product. So this is extra useful if you're looking to bring a product from one market to another. So let's say you're looking at the UK market and you want to bring a product from the US. You've got hundreds of products that are already crushing it in the US. And in my opinion, the easiest way as a beginner for you to start and launch a brand on TikTok is to basically copy one of these brands. Copy it with a little bit of a twist, then launch it in a different territory. Because you've already got all of the videos, you've already got all of the viral videos, you've got the proof of concept, you've already seen what's gone viral, what type of videos, what they say in the videos, and you can see all of this information in Kalo Data. So the second tool that I like to use is a tool called PP Ads. Now, PP Ads is basically like an ad spy tool. Now, this allows you to look at all of the major ad platforms, Meta advertising, obviously TikTok advertising, and you can see the best advertisements or the best ads for pretty much any product in any niche, right? Now, this is a great way of seeing what's getting the most spend, what products are getting the most attention, what type of content for these products. Very similar to Kalo Data, but it's not just specifically for TikTok. You can also use tools like Exploding Topics, right? So Exploding Topics is great for finding emerging trends in different niches. So for example, creatine. Creatine in the last sort of 18 months has absolutely taken off. But if 2 years ago, you'd have seen that there was this increase in search demand for creatine as a niche, you might have been able to get in early and create a brand before it absolutely boomed. And this is basically the way e-commerce works. We have these trends that peak and they trough, and then we have emerging trends, new niches and sub-niches that can come out of nowhere and just absolutely explode. Another great example is beef tallow. So beef tallow is basically like a skincare product. It's a natural product. You put it on your skin. A couple of years ago, it wasn't that popular. But if you look on Google Trends, you'll see now that it's gone absolutely nuts. It's peaked and then it's actually dropped off a little bit. But there's so many niches like this appearing out of nowhere all of the time. And your job is to identify them early, then get in there, build a brand, launch a great product, and ride that wave as it's on the up. So now you know how to do your product research. You understand what products do well on TikTok and why. What's the next step, right? You've got to actually find suppliers for these products and you've got to source them. Now, as a beginner, this might seem a little bit daunting, but honestly, it's not that difficult. Once you get into it and you learn the ropes, it's relatively easy. So there's two main places really that you're going to be sourcing your products. The first one is China, and then the second one, or second and third, is the US and Europe. So for single-use products like these blue light glasses, these are the types of products that you absolutely want to source in China. They are just the absolute best at manufacturing stuff like this at a price where you can make a good profit margin. So if you're looking to sell a single-use product, something like this, or another plastic item, something like your drone or whatever, the obvious choice there is to go to China and to use Alibaba. Now, Alibaba is super simple to use. All you do is create an account, you search in the search bar, whatever it is that you're looking for. You can tick some boxes along the left-hand side to make sure that these suppliers are verified. They've got all their information verified. You can see the history of the suppliers to see how much money they've done in orders and transactions with other people. There is this sort of idea that the Chinese are there to kind of rip you off, and maybe you're going to send your money places and you're not going to get anything. You're going to get ripped off and lose your money. But honestly, it's not really true. I've done millions in orders from China. We've flown to China to meet our suppliers, and these people want to make money just like you, and they make more money if you succeed. So if you're looking to sell single-use plastic products, China and Alibaba is the way to go. But if you are looking to sell consumable items, maybe not canned drinks like this, because these are an absolute nightmare to sell online, but if you're looking to sell a supplement, for example, which is massively popular on TikTok, then you need to be a little bit more careful. Now, in the UK, a few months ago, there was a massive scandal with creatine gummies. Long story short, there was a few brands that got called out because when these creatine gummies were tested, it was actually coming out that there wasn't any creatine in them. The biggest one was a brand called Overload. This was a massive scandal in the UK. It was all over YouTube. There's a YouTuber called James Smith that covered it pretty in depth. Essentially, these gummies were sent off to a third party, and they were supposed to have like 4 grams or maybe even 5 grams of creatine in them. And when they were tested, there was nada. There was nothing inside them apart from the gummy stuff. Now, it went a little bit further and they tested a bunch of brands in the US and the UK, and it wasn't just Overload. It was tons of creatine gummy brands that basically had no creatine in them. Now, whether this was the fault of the brand owner or whether this was the Chinese suppliers ripping them off, it's a little bit unknown. But the point here is that supplements are tricky. Supplements from China especially are very tricky. China give you the best prices and they actually have the best equipment for making gummies and stuff like that. There's no denying that. But the problem is the Chinese can be sneaky. And when you've got a product like a creatine gummy or a supplement where it's easy to remove maybe one of the ingredients, they get a higher profit margin, that can lead to problems. And one of the problems, obviously, with selling supplements is people put it in their body, right? And it's something that you need to be confident that you know what's in it. It's not going to do any harm to anybody. You're not going to get sued. If you go to China, you need to make sure you do all of your compliance and your due diligence checks. So my advice, if you're looking to source a supplement, is to go local. If you're looking to sell in the UK or Europe, find a local supplier. Find somebody that's in the UK or in Europe that you can ask to see all their certificates. And that's going to give you the confidence that what you're ordering is actually what you're going to get. And if you're in the US and you're looking to sell in the US, there's a ton of US suppliers for pretty much every supplement. And again, it's the same story. Most of these companies in the US, they're going to easily be able to provide you with the certificates, and they're going to be able to show you that what you're buying off them is actually legit. So make sure you use ChatGPT to understand what it is that you need from the supplier to verify that they're legit. If you're going to source a supplement, my recommendation is do it locally, either in Europe or in the US. If you are going to do that, make sure you ask the supplier, are they manufacturing it in the US or Europe themselves, or are they getting it from China? Because a lot of these companies are just middlemen. They're middlemen that just add on their margin, and they're still sourcing it from China. So make sure you ask them directly. Are they a middleman or are they a manufacturer? So these are the two main ways that you're going to source your products. Single-use products like this, go to China, use Alibaba. If you're looking to source supplements, I would recommend going locally. Make sure you use ChatGPT to do all of your compliance checks so you understand what you need to ask from the suppliers. Now, this is extra important when you come to actually make your TikTok account and put your products on TikTok or Amazon or Shopify, because you're gonna have to upload these documents as proof that your supplements are what you say they are. So this is why it's super important. If you get stuff from China and it's fake, you can end up in a lot of trouble from TikTok and especially from Amazon. So I wanted to take a look at some products actually on TikTok so we can break down why these products are so successful, right? So the first one is this Bodywise hair growth roll-on serum. So this is a $15, 15 pound product. So it's in that impulse buy range. But most importantly, right, this is a product that is obviously super visual. Now, if you look at all of the top videos, you come down here to Kalo Data. This is what I was saying about Kalo Data being insanely useful, right? Because you can actually see all of the top videos for this product. Now, if you were to launch a variation of this product, you've essentially got all of this content that you can use as inspiration, or you can essentially just copy that you know has already gone viral, so it must be resonating with the audience, right? So this one here at the top, for example, you can see that this video got over 7 million views and it drove $18,000 or 17,000 pounds in revenue, right? 1,400 items sold from this one single product. Now, what you can see is you can see how this being a super visual sort of product helps this go viral, because there's nothing more visual, especially to a man that's potentially going bald and is absolutely petrified of it. Nothing is going to get their attention more than a video like this, right? And it's also, when you look at it, it's a huge problem. Now, this is a massive problem for young men. They're terrified of going bald. So if I'm thinking and I'm, like scared that I'm going to lose my lovely ginger hair, and I see a video on TikTok where it's somebody doing this and they've got a bald spot, that's really going to stand out to me. And there's millions of people in the UK and the US that suffer from this problem. So it's a product that solves a huge problem, and it's a problem that you can show very visually, very quickly. So this is the reason that this product, in my opinion, is doing so well on TikTok. And then you've got a product like this, right? This is Dr. Dent Teeth Whitening Strips. This is doing really well in the UK. Now, again, if we look at the pricing, it's in that impulse buy range. It's not a £100 or $100 product. If we come down to the videos, what you're going to see again is that these videos are also super visual. All of the videos that have gone viral, you can see 6 million views, nearly 4 million views, 2,500 items sold. This is a product that is super visual. If you're scrolling and you see somebody with this on their teeth and they're immediately in your face like that, it's going to get your attention. Whether or not you were in the market for a teeth whitening product, which I probably should be because I drink a stupid amount of coffee, if you weren't already looking for it, you're going to see that. It's going to get your attention. And then because it's in that impulse buy range, you're likely to maybe buy the product. So these are a couple of hands-on examples of products that follow the fundamentals that I talked about, right? They're very visual. They're super easy to show in a visual way. They also solve big problems for a huge sort of market of people. Right, guys, so this section of the video, I wanted to dive into how you can do your branding and also like an extra bit of kind of like research on the products that you find, but using AI. Now, AI in ChatGPT, right? Obviously, unless you've been living under a rock, you've probably used it, you've probably experienced it in some form, right? But honestly, it's completely changed the way, especially beginners, can approach e-commerce. Like in the past, it used to cost thousands of dollars, or it would take hundreds of hours to do things like research and design and even like product development and stuff like that. And now you can do everything with ChatGPT, and that's not even mentioning all of the other AI tools that you can leverage to create content and just build websites and all that crazy stuff. I wanted to use this example of the hair growth serum, right? Because I think this is a great TikTok product. As I mentioned before, it's very visual. You can easily create super scroll stopping videos with a product like this. It's got mass wide appeal and it solves a real problem. So what I did, right, is I came across to ChatGPT and I basically just copied in a picture of this product. And then I said, I want to create an alternative version of this product. Can you come up with some ideas for fun and clever brand names? And then also concepts for how it can look visually. Now, you don't have to stop there, right? A great way to use ChatGPT is to feed it this type of product and get it to do deep research. If you click on this button down at the bottom, right, you can click on this deep research button and it will scour the internet. It'll go to the Reddit forums. It'll, it'll look in every little corner of the internet to do as much research into whatever you ask it, right? So you can get it to do deep research into this type of product to find all of the biggest brands, all of the best products, and then you can ask it to identify ways in which you can change the products, you can improve it, you can make it stand out, you can add an ingredient, any way that you could possibly think of in terms of differentiating or standing out with this product. ChatGPT is going to find hundreds of ideas 1,000 times faster than you can do manually. So I use it a lot to do research into ways that I can make a product or a brand stand out, but I also use it for brand names. It's incredible, right? So what you can see is it's come up with a bunch of different brand names. You got like Rooted, Grocery, Bloomify, Root Roller, Verdant, and then it'll give you all of kind of like the reasoning behind why it's done it. Sprout Lab, Growth, Sprig, that's a cool name. So it gives you a bunch of stuff. So I used it to come up with these brand names. I really like this one. Now, whether or not this has got a trademark on it already, you would have to find that out. You can use ChatGPT to do that. I'll do the initial stages of that. So then what I did is I came down here and I said, can you create a mock-up of this product using the Rooted brand name, right? And look what it's come out with. Like, this to me looks incredible. You would have paid thousands of dollars for a designer to do that in the past. And I've just done that in like 5 minutes using ChatGPT. So this is an absolute game changer. It's going to help you design your branding, come up with a brand name, come up with ways in which you can stand out. So you can get all of these ideas of how can I make this product and this brand stand out. Then you can take those back to your supplier, and then you can give them to the supplier and say, hey, can you do this? I want to add this cap. I want to do a magnetic thing. I want to add this ingredient. I want to make this flavor. Can you do that? So it just speeds everything up. Now, obviously, this is going to need a little bit of tweaking, but you can go and give this to a designer. I mean, actually, for me, that's pretty close. Like, if you actually look at that product there, you could launch that, and that looks incredible. So you could just give that to your supplier and say, you know, print the bottle to look like this. So leverage ChatGPT for everything. The more that you use it, the better you're going to get with it. But you can use it to find suppliers, do your branding, do your research. There's an endless amount of things that you can use it for. And that's even before you actually launch the product. All right, guys. So now you've done your product research, you've found a suitable product, maybe you've come up with a brand name using ChatGPT. It's time to actually set up your product listing, right? So I want to dive through some of the key things that you need to know when you're setting up your listing. So your listing is really important because if people see these blue light glasses, right, and then they click on it, they basically go through to the product listing, and that's where they can scroll through the images and they can decide whether or not it's worth them buying the product. So it's got to look high quality, and as you've seen with ChatGPT, you can do most of this with AI now, so it doesn't cost you a fortune. So the main thing is that you want your main image to be super clear, crystal clear on a clear white background. Now again, you can do this with ChatGPT, or you can start it with ChatGPT and then you can hire a designer maybe on Fiverr or Upwork, but your main image needs to be on a clear background, a clear sort of nice clean white background. And then you want to have lifestyle shots, right? So if you're selling a golf product, you want to have pictures of people playing golf using the product, or if it's a hair loss product, you want to see a before and after. You want people to be able to see the product actually being used for whatever its intended use is. Infographics are also super key. So if you've got a product that's got a bunch of, let's say, natural ingredients, customers are going to want to know what those ingredients are. So you can have an infographic where it shows everything that's in the product. So you need to go through and think about what are the questions, or leverage ChatGPT to say what are the questions people are going to have about these blue light glasses that they need answering before they think, right, I'm gonna buy these glasses, I'm gonna hit the checkout button. You need to know all those questions and all of those like objections that people have in their mind, so that in your product listing you can handle those objections and you can answer those questions to increase the chances that people actually go on and buy your product. So you want a super professional looking listing. You want to answer all the questions, the most common things that people need to know before they buy the product. And that's going to help you with your conversion rate and make sure a lot of people actually click checkout. The next thing is writing a description. Now, TikTok can actually write this using AI for you, but you want to be obviously descriptive with the benefits, outlining exactly what people get. You also want to use the main keywords of whatever your product is, because TikTok will crawl this and it will use it in the SEO. So the keywords are important to have in your title and description, because you want to make sure that your product is properly indexed in the TikTok platform. So you also want to make sure that you've got a good descriptive title. It should include what your product is. So if you're selling a wallet, you want to have your brand name and then men's wallet. You want to make sure it's as descriptive as possible with the words and the keywords that people are actually going to be thinking about or using when they're looking or considering that type of product. Now, next up, we have got your fulfillment. It ain't the sexiest part of e-commerce, but it's one of the most important parts. And it's one of the parts that people get a little bit panicky about, especially beginners. How the hell do I actually get this product to the customer, right? So you've got a few options, and the first one is self-fulfillment. From your supplier, you can have them send you all of your product in bulk, send it to you, you can put it in your living room, and then you do the fulfillment. You get the boxes, you do the labeling, you sellotape it, you take it down to the post office, all of that stuff. Now, this is great for a beginner if you want to have higher profit margins, but it's not scalable. I wouldn't recommend doing this. I recommend learning how to use fulfillment networks and these other options that I'm going to talk you through. The next couple of ways of doing this is using a 3PL or a third-party logistics partner or center, whatever you want to call it. So this is basically a warehouse or a fulfillment center that's dedicated to helping e-commerce brands like ours fulfill and ship out all of their orders. So you send it from your supplier to a 3PL. So we use a 3PL in the US called ShipBob. We send them all of our stock. They weigh it, they check it, they make sure it's all right. They put it on the shelf. When the orders then come in, it's synced up with their software. They pull it off the shelf, they package it up, they label it, and then they send it off to the customer. It's super scalable, but it can be expensive. You got to understand exactly how it impacts your profit margins by understanding how much it all costs. But generally, as with anything in e-commerce, with scale, you get economies of scale, right? So the cost that we get from ShipBob now has gone down over time because we're doing more and more orders. So in the beginning, don't be worried if your profit margin is taking a bit of a hit because you're only doing small orders. That will improve as you scale up. Now, the third way to do the fulfillment is by using TikTok's FBT network. So you might have heard of Amazon FBA, which is fulfilled or fulfillment by Amazon. I always forget which one it is. Basically, Amazon have a network of warehouses and fulfillment centers all over the world, pretty much in almost every country, I think. And you send your products there and they do all of the fulfillment, essentially like a 3PL, but it's a dedicated Amazon network. Now, we use this obviously for Amazon, but there's also the FBT, which is fulfilled by TikTok. It's exactly the same as Amazon's, it's just ran by TikTok. Now, it's a little bit newer than Amazon, so I don't think it's as sort of like advanced and as reliable, but they often do a lot of deals. They'll often do deals on like storage and stuff like that for new sellers. So keep your eye out on that because you can actually save a lot of money by using their fulfillment network because they really want to reward new sellers and help them, you know, with their success on the platform when they get into it. So those are the main ways that you fulfill your products. Not as scary as it might seem in the beginning, relatively simple. It's one of the key skills that you need to learn if you're going to launch a brand. Now we're getting to the sexy bit. So how do you actually launch your products on TikTok? There are two main ways to do this. I'm going to cover both of them. So the first one is to start making content yourself. Now, before you jump off your chair and you go, look, Alex, I'm not getting in front of a camera. I'm not an influencer. I'm not a content creator. I would encourage you to have a little bit of a think about this because I genuinely think that learning to create your own content is probably the most valuable skill you as a beginner can learn. Now, obviously, I'm making this content right now in front of camera. Making this content makes me a lot of money. It also has made me learn the key concepts behind content creation and what makes good content and bad content, because it doesn't really matter what product you're selling, these concepts are the same. Now, the first concept is the hook. You need to make sure that your videos have got an incredible hook. And the best way to learn how to do that is by doing it yourself, by experimenting yourself. Anybody can pick up their phone now and make content completely for free. And as I said at the beginning of the video, I think this has leveled the playing field because before you needed a big budget to be able to compete with these big companies that were putting all of these money behind these fancy ads. But now the ads that are converting, whether it's on TikTok or Shopify or Snapchat or Pinterest, they're raw ads made by real people. So that means if you've got an iPhone, you can create your own content. You can create your own organic videos and you can create your own ads. And to go back to using Kalo data, if you launch a product like the hair serum, for example, and you are a guy that's going slightly bald, then you've got all of the existing videos that you can look at on Kalo data to basically copy word for word. Now, you're going to have to move on eventually to learning how to create your own content and come up with your own concepts without just copying existing videos. But in my opinion, this is the best way as a beginner. It means you don't have to spend a fortune on advertising. You can just pick up your phone and start making videos. Now, we've got somebody within our community and he's absolutely crushing it with his exercise band product, right? So this is a product that he can make videos for himself. He's doing TikTok videos. He's regularly going viral and he's learning the key skill of content creation. And this helps him out when he's got to recruit content creators. He knows how to educate them. He knows how to guide them on what makes a good video, what's a good hook, what's a good storyline in a video, and then a good CTA. A CTA is a call to action. It encourages people to click the link below, go on and buy the product, because these are the main parts of any video. You've got the hook, you've you've got the body, and you've got the CTA. Now, if you learn how to do this yourself and you learn how to make good content, it's going to make everything 100 times easier for you as you progress in the world of e-commerce. It's an incredibly valuable skill, and it's one that I think is super important when you're launching products on TikTok as a beginner. What I would do with any product that I'm launching, if I'm going to launch this wallet, is I would research the top 200 videos that have gone viral for the most similar product to what I'm selling. I would take those videos, I would put them into a document, and then I would go through them and I would create my own version of those videos. When I come to launch the product, I've already got 200 videos ready to go. And I guarantee some of those videos are going to get a decent amount of views, and those views are going to drive sales. And that's going to help you build momentum. In the beginning of launching a product, it's all about momentum. When you start getting those sales, you start getting the reviews coming in, other content creators are going to see that and they're going to want to get on board. They're going to see those sales coming in and they're going to want a piece of the pie. It's a great way to learn an incredibly valuable skill, and it's something that I teach and I encourage everybody within our community does, and I encourage you to do the same. Now, the second way that you can launch your products, which I would do in tandem to creating your own content, is by recruiting a little crew or a little army of content creators. Now, you want to get a bunch of good content creators that are a good fit for your products to help you promote your products when they go live. So way before your product arrives at TikTok, you want to start doing outreach to these content creators. Now, you can do this manually through TikTok. You can do it through the TikTok app itself. But the point here is you want to find people that you think are a good fit for your product. And you want to reach out, you want to sell them on the product, you want to sell them on the vision, you want to send them a free sample, and you want to get them as part of your crew so that when you launch, you've got a bunch of people that are ready to make videos. So I recommend trying to get at least 5 to 6 content creators ready in a group, whether that's a WhatsApp group or a Slack group or a Discord group. Get them ready before your product goes live. Now, you might be able to find content creators that will do this in return for a free sample. The better the content creator, the more that they're in demand, the more you're going to have to give them, right? So you can incentivize content creators with free samples, with retainers. Maybe you give them for the first 48 hours a really high commission on your product sales. So generally, most brands will give maybe around 10% commission. Sometimes it's lower, sometimes it's higher. But you could say to a bunch of content creators, hey, I'm launching these blue light glasses. I think you're a perfect fit. And for the first 48 hours of the launch, I'm going to give you 50% commission. And that's incentivizing them to take a little bit of a gamble on your product because it's new. Now, the more outreach that you do, the more people you try and charm, the more people you sell on your vision, and you really get bought into your product, the better. And if you combine these two things, if you're making content yourself and then you get an army of content creators to also help you out, this is where you're going to increase the chances that your product goes viral on TikTok. Now, you can see some of the biggest brands on TikTok, brands like Golly. These guys basically wrote the playbook on influencer marketing and leveraging influencers on TikTok to crush it, right? They've done hundreds of millions of dollars in sales, and they've got thousands of content creators. Now, obviously, you as a beginner, it's going to take time to get to that point, but you can start small, you can build a good crew, and then you can scale as you get more experience, as your product gets more reviews and more sales, and it's going to become a snowball effect. Once creators see other creators making money, they all want to jump on. They all want to make money. They all want a piece of the pie. So those are the two main ways that you're going to launch your product. You're going to send it to the fulfillment centers, and before it's even got there and before it's live, you're going to start making videos yourself. You're going to copy the existing videos that you see on Kalo Data, and then you're also going to recruit a bunch of content creators that are going to promote your product in return for a commission. Now, all of this is handled through TikTok's platform. You don't need to worry about working out commissions. You don't need to worry about sending out payments. It's all done automatically through the TikTok app. It's as easy as ABC. Now, one of the things that you're going to have to do for this is send out a bunch of free samples. So you need to factor that in when you're placing your first orders. You need to budget a number of samples that you know you're just going to give away. Now, I would recommend doing at least 50 to 100 samples. It sounds like a lot, but you really need to have enough samples that you can send out for free to these creators in return for them making videos. Because the demand for creators now is so high, you are competing against other brands. So the more that you can do to incentivize people to work with you, the better. So now I want to talk about the Halo flywheel system that I mentioned earlier on in the video. And this is why I think this strategy of launching products on TikTok is so unbelievably powerful. Because when you launch your products on TikTok and when you get those viral views, something very magical happens. People see those videos and they don't always go to TikTok Shop and buy the product on TikTok. A lot of those people will go across to Amazon and they will buy your product on Amazon. So this is why I recommend to everybody, don't just launch your products on TikTok. If you're gonna launch your products on TikTok, launch them on Amazon at the same time. Now you don't need to run fancy PPC campaigns on Amazon, because the beauty of this is when you go viral, when you get views on TikTok, people are gonna come across to Amazon and they're gonna search for your brand. Now this has been an absolute game changer for our brand. Because we do so much marketing on TikTok and also on Shopify, those people that see those videos, probably about 20% of them, they go across to Amazon and they search directly for our brand. Now that means we get higher profit margins on Amazon, and Amazon has become so much easier. It's become like a proper little profit center for us. We don't really need to run any advertising because we basically use it as a way to collect people that are already looking for our brand because of the marketing efforts that we do on other platforms like Shopify and also on TikTok. So the Halo flywheel system is something that I teach to all of our students, and it's incredibly powerful. And the key to building brands that have longevity is this omni-channel approach. It's not just about TikTok, it's not just about Amazon, it's about leveraging all of these platforms individually together to create an omni-channel brand that uses the advantages that each of these platforms deliver individually. So Amazon is a platform that has an insane amount of trust. A lot of Americans, for example, they don't shop anywhere online but Amazon because they trust Amazon. So if they see a product on TikTok, if they see a product on Shopify or on Meta, wherever, they might just go across to Amazon. They might never buy it from your Shopify site. They might never buy it from your TikTok store. So if you're not on Amazon, you're going to be missing out on a ton of branded search where people are directly looking for your brand. So we've talked about TikTok Shop. We've talked about how you find the products, how you fulfill them, how you do the sourcing and the branding using AI. But what is the future of TikTok Shop? Well, I believe that the future of TikTok Shop is going to be a combination of paid and organic. So in the beginning, the platform was an organic machine. It was relatively easy to, create organic videos that would get millions of views that would drive, crazy numbers in sales. But as with any platform, it happened with Instagram and Facebook and Snapchat. It happened with Amazon. These platforms make money from advertising. So if you truly want to have longevity on the platform, you have to understand this. You have to understand that you need to leverage paid advertising. You need to leverage GMV max campaigns through the TikTok platform to give your organic videos that much needed boost, because this is going to become more and more important as the platform tries to monetize its users and monetize the TikTok Shop sellers as much as possible. So once you've cracked TikTok, you've got the organic, you've got the paid, you've got the creators, you've got your own content, you're driving sales on TikTok Shop, and you've got people going across to Amazon, and you've got that omni-channel approach. My advice would be then to move into Shopify. And what you can do is you can take your best performing ad content, your best performing organic content, and you can use it directly on Shopify and Meta. You can run those same videos on Meta, or you can take the same concept and create new videos, and you're going to basically be able to start Meta advertising with all of the angles that you've seen work organically for whatever your product is, right? And this is a massive advantage when you start your Meta advertising. And this is where the Halo flywheel system gets even more powerful. When you combine all of these channels together, you get a brand that's going to be unstoppable. You get a brand that's got high margins, it's got great velocity, and it's very, very defensible. It's not like you're just selling on Amazon and you're getting crushed by Chinese sellers, because these Chinese sellers, they're not really on TikTok. They're not really on Shopify. And if they are on Amazon, they've got cheap, crappy looking brands that you can easily compete with. So TikTok Shop and e-commerce isn't going anywhere. And I believe social commerce is the future of e-commerce. And that's why I'm so insistent on everybody in our community learning how to make content, because it gives you such an incredible skill set for expanding into TikTok Shop and then expanding into Meta and Shopify. Now, is e-commerce getting more competitive? Of course, it's not getting less competitive. There's more and more sellers all of the time, but e-commerce is absolutely booming. There is still so much room for it to keep booming and for you to launch your own brand. It's never been easier.